Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we follow the exciting events at the House of Windsor with great care. We are discussing a topic today that has significant constitutional and individual ramifications. King Charles III's final ruling on the public destiny of his brother, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, and his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. The couple's cherished daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, bear a heavy personal price in this tale of forced exile and harsh reckoning that has been developing for months, if not years. Please remember to help us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel before we get into the specifics of this royal edict. Your participation guarantees that we will be able to provide you with the most thorough and considerate examination of the British royal family going forward. The status of Prince Andrew and the Duchess of York, also known as Fergie, has been in a dangerous one for a while. King Charles has been compelled to draw a firm, uncompromising line in the sand after years of intense scrutiny and damaging public revelations. The King has released what can only be characterized as severe directives on their future relations and interactions with the main working royal family. This verdict represents a devastating nadir for the York family, even though it may have been unavoidable given the circumstances. As everyone is aware, the main concern is the intense public outrage sparked by Prince Andrew's previous affiliations, particularly with the disclosures about Prince Andrew's contacts, notably the empathetic emails sent to the convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The former working royals have been the focus of unrelenting and warranted investigation. This link, connected to one of the demands for a total and permanent exile from royal life, were fueled by the most heinous criminal instances of our time, which caused unheard-of public anger. The King had to act decisively to repair the harm to the Crown's image. For the Duke of York, the consequences are severe. As they say, family ties can never be severed, but you can't just fire someone for being your brother. The King is ultimately in charge of public representation and the monarchy's outward appearance. The seriousness of reports in the Sunday Times asterisk, which cited a source considering the King's precarious position, recently highlighted this problem. "You can't fire someone for being your brother," the source pointed out pretty sharply. However, if the Duke and Duchess were as noble as they were the previous year, it would be for the best, and the family would not be let down, if only to spare the monarch from having to make any more tough choices. This comment, which refers to a significant precedent that was established recently, says it all. Let's us remember the setting of the customary celebrations in Sandringham and Norfolk last year. Millions of people around the world watched the yearly trek to St. Mary Magdalene Church on Christmas morning, which is undoubtedly one of the most well-known and beloved royal customs. The Duke and Duchess of York decided this year to completely withdraw from joining the elder royals for these customary celebrations, which was a tough but necessary move. Prince Andrew's self-imposed retreat was closely related to the raging scandal surrounding him, particularly his purported role in the Chinese espionage controversy, as it was commonly known. The royal family's reputation was in an unworkable state due to the public's assessment of this occurrence and the continued consequences from the Epstein link. The King and the Prince and Princess of Wales were saved the severe discomfort of navigating the expected media circus and public anger that their attendance would have assured by the Yorks' voluntary withdrawal. But in that case, it's important to recognize the subtle distinction. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew kept a low profile, although their Princess Beatrice, the eldest daughter, was allowed to accompany King Charles and the senior working royals on the stroll, along with her own family. This distinction acted as a subliminal but potent reminder that although the parents are not publicly visible, their children, who have stayed out of the scandals, continue to hold their position inside the royal family's inner circle. Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson's situation has now become much more crucial and limited as we move forward to 2025. The earlier temporary actions have now become a permanent one, Anticipation, a directive given straight from the king. King Charles has made it clear that he wants the pair to remain as invisible as possible. This directive goes well beyond the high-profile media events or the state's major ceremonial occasions. Even during extremely private and familial events like regular church attendance and family funerals, the king expects the Duke and Duchess of York to maintain complete secrecy. This significant change indicates that even in a private capacity, the monarch sees their public presence as a threat to the stability and dignity of the monarchy. It's impossible to overestimate the significance of this directive for invisibility. This enforced retreat is the harshest imaginable non-constitutional punishment for a royal family whose entire survival depends on their public presence and relationships. Their status as permanently retired from the public-facing components of the institution is confirmed by this social and public demotion. Even so, King Charles makes an effort to balance his responsibilities as a loving brother and a sovereign, a challenging constitutional tightrope. The Times story went into further detail on this delicate balance, pointing out that in God's sight, the king is not inclined to be unduly harsh or to totally break the familial bond. According to the source, the king is not of the mind to banish someone worshipping at church or attending family occasions like a funeral. This is an important distinction. Charles is not preventing Andrew from praying for himself or from going to a private service to grieve for a loved one. However, the king is requesting that these attendances be carried out with the highest caution and decency, making sure they don't turn into another media spectacle that takes attention away from the event's main goal. In order to emphasize the generational continuity and shared responsibility for the future of the kingdom, Prince William's father, the king, as the stories frequently refer to him, would prefer that they find a more covert manner to attend these functions. I trust that this subdued word has the authority of a regal decree. It is an unambiguous expectation that must be fulfilled. It implies no opulent entrances, no positioning close to the senior working royals, and most definitely no communication with the media. It entails moving in and out of sight and integrating as much as possible into the backdrop. But this is when we come into a major source of stress and possible conflict. According to the article, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, might not completely understand or perhaps decide to disregard the need for this discretion. In particular, it is mentioned that the Duke of York appears to enjoy the idea of being overt about it. This sentiment that has been reported is really alarming. If Prince Andrew decides to use the king's permission for private attendance as a means of return to the public eye, even for a short time, he runs the risk of inciting a more severe response from the palace. Despite the serious harm his previous actions have caused, his seeming desire to enjoy the limelight points to a fundamental incompatibility with the crown's urgent need for stability and quiet integrity. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are particularly affected by this requirement for invisibility. These young ladies have continuously shown their devotion to their father, while upholding their personal morals and commitment to altruism. They now have to deal with the upsetting truth that their parents continue to, even if it is limited. Public drama severely strains their connection with the monarch and the rest of the royal family. The king's choice is unquestionably devastating for the princesses, even though it is required for the institution. Knowing that every action taken by the Duke and Duchess will be evaluated in light of the king's stringent demand for secrecy, they are compelled to watch their parents being completely marginalized in public. Their responsibility and reverence for their sovereign, King Charles III, must always balance their allegiance to their father. The king's choice has nothing to do with ill will, but in accordance with the Constitution. The public's perception and trust are the foundation of the British monarchy. The sovereign must act quickly and forcefully to defend the institution when scandal threatens to undermine such trust. King Charles is making sure that the key working members, him, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and the Princess of Wales, and their responsibilities are the only things being discussed, rather than the scandals that still surround the Duke of York, by demanding invisibility. This is a pivotal point in the monarchy's transition under King Charles III. It illustrates his readiness to make the difficult family choices required to update and protect the throne for coming generations. He understands that although family is important, the institution's reputation must always come first. Perhaps the final vestige of familial accommodation the Duke of York can anticipate is the option to permit private attendance at family occasions, as long as it is done with the utmost discretion. The 2025 mandate is unambiguous. As the Sunday Times source indicated, the Yorks must be respectable by choosing to live a life that is forever hidden from the public eye. The monarch could be forced to make the extremely tough choices he wants to avoid if he deviates from this course of discreet attendance. Decisions that, even at the most private levels, may eventually result in the entire and full severance of public relationships. In conclusion, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson have been officially excluded from the royal family's public life. A painful but necessary decision made by King Charles III. Although he is still the king's brother, the Duke of York's public royal position is over. By 2025, complete invisibility is anticipated. A discreet and quiet retirement, especially during family events like funerals and church visits. The entire York family feels depressed as a result of this tough choice, which was motivated by the desire to preserve the integrity of the crown and the lasting effects of previous scandals. We are left to speculate as to whether Prince Andrew will take his brother, the monarch, seriously after issuing this last, severe warning, or if his alleged wish to stay out of the spotlight would only cause more strife and increased estrangement. How do you feel about this unprecedented royal invisibility mandate? Do you think King Charles has successfully reconciled constitutional obligations with family ties? Kindly provide your thoughts in the space provided for comments below. We appreciate your thoughtful comments and civil conversation. To ensure you don't miss our next update on the changing circumstances of the House of Windsor, please remember to hit the notification bell, like this video, and subscribe for more in-depth royal analysis. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you soon.